a 12, 3.7. I weighed the car bone stock with a quarter tank of fuel, and it was 4,000 pounds. That was with a stock, not 4,000 pounds, sorry, correction, 3,400 pounds. And that was with the stock 17s. Now, mine's a base model, so I've got manual seats and all that. But I'm going to start off with the engine bay and stuff that you can see easily. For instance, the Melee battery box and battery was 16 pounds lighter over stock, which is a great way to get weight off the front of the car. The other thing, the BMRK member I have in the car, so I'm going to get here where you can see it, was 25 pounds with the motor mounts, is what they say. And that's the BMRK member. They have the different poly motor mounts. Now, if you buy or plan on putting motor mounts in these cars, if you get the BMR ones that are the motor mounts by themselves, you can't use them with this K member because the K member comes with their own motor mounts versus the ones you can get on American Muscle with the black brackets and red bushings. The other weight reduction that really helped a lot. Now, you can't see the brackets here, but I had a friend of mine makes sway bar delete brackets. That was over 40 pounds off the front of the car with no sway bar, which also helps in your weight transfer. That's just a few things. And then you can't see underneath my bumper. I also have a tubular crash bumper. That was 10 pounds off the front of the car. My hood was 20. Of course, the rear seat delete kit was 30. The rest of the weight reduction is coming from the suspension, the exhaust. The stock manifolds are quite heavy. I never weighed the stock manifolds versus the long tubes, but I took the car from 3,400 pounds to 3,200 pounds with 50 miles worth of fuel in it before I get in the car with all the weight reduction I've done. Now, people ask about suspension on these cars. Suspension is probably the first thing I would focus on one of these besides tires and wheels. The stock suspension sucks really bad. But all the suspension parts, like the transmission mount, I have a aluminum transmission mount, that was probably another 5 pounds versus stock. Maybe not that much, maybe closer to 3. But every little bit adds up. This motor's getting ready to be pulled out, hopefully next weekend finally. And this is out of a 2017 had 24,000 miles up when I bought it, and the nitrous blew it up. And I'm having my new engine's being built down Advanced Engine and Machine in Salina, Kansas. Fully built with forged internals, which is going to stay NA for the foreseeable future. But these cars are really easy to mod. Now the interior, my interior is really basic. Like I said, I've got the rear seat delete kit. It's of course that's where I put my X4 tuner, but it's pretty basic. You can't. I don't know if you can see that's the rear seat delete kit from American Muscle. It's $150. But these cars are very easy to build. You just gotta set your goals. Everyone wants to go straight to turbo. Well, the problem with that is then you don't work on the things that matter the most to get the power to the ground, like torque converter if you're automatic, gears, good set of tires, weight reduction, suspension. I tell you what, if you can get your suspension, I've seen guys pick up a whole suck in the quarter just by getting your suspension and gearing and driveline in place and weight reduction. But the 37 is a really good motor if you're patient with it. They have their flaws, they have their benefits. My new motor is getting Manley rods and pistons. I took the compression from a 10:5 to 1 ratio up to a 10:8. They bored it 20 over for me. Also put a high volume milling oil pump on it, so I'll have a little more oil pressure. Ended up doing all Molly gaskets and King bearings for the crank bearings, ARP hardware for my rods. He port matched the heads to the lower intake because my intakes are ported by Brett Barber, so he port matched port matched this part of the heads for me on my new motor to flow into the intake smoother, because there's about almost a quarter of an inch gap overlap from my manifolds to the stock head. So he did that on the new motor, put different valve springs in it, 5-angle valve job. So, my last car made 300 the tire. I never got to dyno this car full bolt on before I blew it up. So I'm hoping to be around 330, 340 with a built motor with all I'm having done. I haven't made a lot of content videos or racing videos because it's been down for a year. So I plan to do a lot more content. I'm going to have to get my GoPro back from my girlfriend, but of course, some of the best upgrades to these cars that for just everyday driving is the LED headlights. And I also did the upgrade to use daytime running lights by switching the headlight switch out. That's a nice convenience factor. The 6R80 car is probably my favorite. I've had a manual car before, but the 6R80 trans car with the torque converter makes a world of difference. These cars are very cheap to mod. If I was going to start from scratch, being a new person with having one of these, I would either first get MPT tune, and then I would get either ported intakes by Brett Barber, or I would get a good the air raid tube with the stock airbox made 300 horse in my other car with a K&N filter in it, or the Steeda, but the Steeda requires a tune. The other thing I would focus on when I first after getting the tune would be getting the suspension done, because like I said, the suspension, the bushings in the back of these cars need a lot of help, and a good set of gears and a drive shaft. They make a world of difference before even adding any real power to the car, because it's got plenty of power stock. It just don't put it to the ground very well. Of course, I run with the sway bar delete brackets, or not delete brackets, but relocation brackets. I run 15x10 SVE drag wheels in the back on my daily tires and my drag tires. I've got two sets of these wheels. These are a truck tire I daily on, and I've got my Mickey Thompsons that I drag race on a brand new set of 15x10s, and then my skinnies are 17x4s that I run at the track, but I daily on my stock wheels in the front. If I could find out that 03 car wheels would fit the front of these, I guess I'd black 03 car wheels to match these for my daily, but for daily use. But it's a little bit of time. I hope to have a whole lot more content, so I'm going to start doing a few interior upgrades here soon. I definitely like to get this damn radio replaced this year because I can't stand the stock radio. My other car is a premium, and it had the shaker system, and I miss it. I've upgraded the door speakers to JL Audio, which sound great, but the stock unit doesn't have Bluetooth in it, which really hurts. So that's why I want to upgrade the radio eventually. But my build's been all about weight reduction, pretty much. Getting the most I can. It's been mid-12s on the stock motor, full bolt-on. But getting 200 pounds off the car made a huge difference. The other thing, if you have an automatic car, to take advantage of your new torque converter, I have a Doug Hatton trans brake. That's the switches for it there, but I'll show you where it's at. It's a 2 relay kit. See if I can get around there to do it, if I have to walk around the other side. I'll show you where I have it. And it wires into your connector here. But the two relay kit from Doug Hatton, which makes the trans brake for these cars. On a stock transmission, you get 2-3 good runs out of it before you've got to let it cool down, because it will let go at the starting line after the trans gets hot, and that's because I don't have upgraded trans yet for clutches and stuff to make it hold better. But for the 1 or 2 special times I need to use it, it works great. Generally, the track works fine because I do a lot of 8th mile no prep, stuff like that, so I have plenty of time between rounds for the transmission to cool down. So. And then I bought this yesterday to keep my battery charged, because this thing doesn't have much reserve capacity. And if it sits for a week, sometimes it's low enough that it won't start. So I got a battery tender. But I am on the lookout for my nitrous kit ruined my stock fuel line, so I had to make that custom 8AN fuel line. But the problem is down at the bottom, that bottom adapter, it likes to get like an oily film seeping kind of thing. Doesn't seep raw fuel, but I'd like to find a stock fuel line to go back on there, but I can't find one. So if anybody has a stock fuel line, that'd be awesome. But I've got a lot of plans for this. I don't know how many races I'll get to this season, because it'll probably fall before I start going, because these cars don't like hot weather anyways, and I've got a lot of stuff going on. But I hope to pick the engine up this next weekend and get this one out of the car. I'm going to have to lift this one up and take the oil pan off, because I broke it so good that I can't turn the flex plate over, the torque converter, to get the torque converter nuts off, because it's broke that good. So I'm thinking about taking my impact and sticking it on the flywheel and see if I can break whatever's broken, break it better so it'll come out. But we'll see. I haven't decided how I'm going to get that accomplished yet. But yeah, that's my BMR K member. And it is stiff. I mean, I tell you what, when you start doing the suspension of these, they get real stiff real quick. But you got to plan a kind of an attack of what you want to do for your build when you before you start buying parts. But hopefully, in the next few weeks, I should finally have this running after sitting for a year, which really sucks. I hate it. I hate not being able to drive my car, but at least it's paid off. So, anyhow, I'll talk to y'all later.